This is Ryan Pierce, host of Completely Serious. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Oh, the sweet, sweet tones of Luther Vandross. That could only mean one thing. March Madness is back. Hi, everyone. I'm John Lauder.
And I'm Christian Heimel. We host the Cheap Seat Sports Podcast on Mondays. We're excited to invite you all to the first ever Public House Media Bracket Challenge.
Now is your chance to prove that you know more about college basketball than we do.
And then hear Johnny and I complain about it each week.
Oh, that's for sure. All you have to do is check out our Facebook page, the Cheap Seat Sports Podcast, find the link, and enter.
Only one entry per person, though. Prizes will go to the top listeners, especially the ones who beat out Public House Media hosts like John and myself.
And don't forget, to be eligible to win, you must like both the Cheap Seat Sports Podcast and the Public House Media Facebook pages.
That's simple, guys. 2 clicks, like the pages, join the group, and good luck in the inaugural Public House Media Bracket Challenge.
Hey guys, Hollywood Happy Place is powered by Zoom, the leader in modern enterprise video communications. They have got an easy, reliable cloud platform for video and audio communications, so I can schedule an interview that will automatically be recorded. Then, all my guest and I need to do is click the link and we are in. Best of all, I get a clear, downloadable recording of every conversation emailed right to me in seconds. It's that easy. So if you've been looking for your own simple podcasting or conferencing solution, I suggest that you get your free account today. Just visit zoom.us and check it out for yourself. Yo, and hello, everyone. Welcome to Hollywood Happy Place. I am Jerry Strauss. We have got a great episode for you this week with one of our favorite people in the world, especially on the small screen, from one of the great sitcoms still all over TV today, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Karyn Parsons is with me today. I want to thank you all for joining us, however you may be doing so, through Apple, through Google, Spreaker, through iHeartRadio, whatever the case may be. Thanks for downloading or streaming or however you are listening. Please, we encourage you to continue to do so and support us by subscribing, making sure that those episodes go right to you. No work, no thinking involved. However you prefer to hear us, make sure you're locked in and subscribed. And also, hey, if you have a few seconds and your outlet allows it, please give us a review, a 5-star rating, whatever the case may be. If you like what we're doing here, let us know. It's certainly valuable to us, and we do appreciate that. Again, this week, it's one of the most memorable sitcom characters, in my estimation, the ever-so-snobby Hillary Banks from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. In real life, we know her as Karyn Parsons, and these days she's doing something very not snobby, as she has created and evolved and grown her very own nonprofit educational organization. It's called Sweet Blackberry, and we talk all about it. We talk all about the Fresh Prince. We talk all about rumors of a reboot, maybe with a fresh princess. It's possible. It's in the news. We get Karyn's input. We get the scoop right from the source. So don't go anywhere. Karyn Parsons coming right up on Hollywood Happy Place. It's interesting because you are, we've done this a couple times, but you and I recorded for my old podcast like years ago, a few years ago.
Right.
And and I took, what happened is when we launched Hollywood Happy Place, I took some of that content from a few years ago and labeled it basically as from the archives, from the vault, classic content, and put it along with this stuff. So from the time that this show launched your original interview was up there where we kind of covered the basics of Sweet Blackberry, et cetera, et cetera. So really more, I thought it'd be fun to kind of catch up and do kind of a sequel to build on that as opposed to kind of doing it over. So, yeah. So, I mean, people have been clearly downloading and sharing the old one. So a lot of them are hopefully caught up on what you've been doing, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, just to get down to the basics, how are you today?
Things are good. We've been, we've been, streaming on, were on HBO before. We've been streaming on Netflix. We are getting a lot of presence in schools, working on curriculums. We did all the teaching guides and stuff, but now we've got actually some people that are working on curriculums with us. And we're working on our fourth film, the story of Bessie Coleman, the first Black female aviator, and Lawrence Fishburne is going to narrate that one. It's coming together really well. We're in the middle of production right now, so it's nice to see it all coming together.
That's really cool. And of course, just right off the bat, for people who maybe didn't catch the first episode or want to just run and check stuff out while we're talking about this, we're talking about your organization, Sweet Blackberry. Website is sweetblackberry.org. And I mean, how long has Sweet Blackberry been in existence at this point?
Well, I started Sweet Blackberry in 2005, but I was at the time, I was just really anxious to get stories of little-known people and their achievements in Black history out to kids without a lot of thought about how I would do that or what the best business plan was for it. And so after living with it for a while, in 2009, the Sweet Blackberry became a nonprofit organization. So the model has changed a little bit, but everything else it feels the same to me, really. But so I guess I'd say we've been around since 2005, but as a nonprofit since 2009.
Let me ask you this, that really brings up an interesting question for those of us out there. Everybody has something that they'd love to do in life that they just don't have the time or the energy or maybe the belief in themselves to tackle, whether it's something gigantic like Sweet Blackberry or just a new skill, a new hobby. Do you look back at the fact that you kind of were motivated more by, let's just do this somehow, some way, and figure out what it's going to be as we go along? Do you think it was the right move to do it that way, as opposed to kind of holding off and figuring out a business plan and, moving ahead once absolutely everything was kind of constructed?
Yeah, laid out. And for me, it probably was the only way it would have happened. Yeah. And there are upsides and downsides to that, obviously. And I think I conduct a lot of my life that way. I'm coming to realize. But the thing is, if I thought about it too far in advance, I would never have done it. It was so much. It's been so much work. There've been so many things I've been up against the entire way that I had zero idea of what I was doing or how. But because I had already jumped into the deep end of the pool, I just had to, flail about and figure it out. And I did, and I have, and it's changed. It's changed tremendously. I've met so many different people so many people that have come to help, and then I've met kids and talked to them about the work. I've made the films, not just conceived of it and thought about how I might do it. I've gone in, I've worked with people, I've written them, and seen everything from start to finish multiple times. I've worked with different people, some of the same, some different. So I've learned so much, and so at this point, I'm so much more knowledgeable, and I'm in such a very different place. But had I thought about it in the beginning and thought, well, this is something I don't know anything about, let me lay it all out. It probably would have taken me a very long time to launch. And if I would have, because I don't know, it wasn't a burning desire in the business sense. It was just a desire it was a very genuine desire to get the stories to kids, and with all the work that it would take, I may have opted to go about it differently. than to really try to create these films and produce these films. It's because, when people usually are able to stick with stuff and be so motivated because they're coming at it from a business standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have that because I just jumped in. So it's been good. But I'm glad. I mean, I wouldn't have it any other way. Glad it happened. Otherwise, I just don't know if I would have done it.
I think you hit on a good point because, I think some people find it easier to stick with things if they have a good business plan. But I think a lot of times those ideas of trying to make the logistics concrete before you even make a move is almost like a subconscious exit strategy in case you lose.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with you.
So
I totally agree. Yeah.
What you essentially did was eliminate that chance for you. Like you said, you dove in the deep end of the pool, so you couldn't easily get out, and that ended up kind of keeping you in the pool long enough to make this thing work. So
you just said it. And it's exactly true. I mean, I did the same thing with acting. Everybody used to say, you need something to fall back on. You need something to fall back on. And I used to say, no, I don't, because I'm going to act. No, I don't, because I'm going to act. And I was really pig-headed about it. When I see it now, I laugh at it. I'm like, damn, I had some nerve. But it wasn't that I was like, you watch me. It was none of this, fists on the hips, like, you just watch. I'm going to show you all. I didn't care about any of that. I wasn't thinking to prove anything to anyone. I just knew that was what I wanted to do, and I wanted to so badly. I just knew I was going to do it. Yeah. And so I didn't have a net. I didn't have a backup plan. I didn't have a plan B. I just was like, oh no, I want to do it. So there was, and I'm not saying I wasn't lucky. I was very fortunate. I know lots of people who give it their all and don't have the same kind of good fortune that I did. So I'm not saying, I don't know what would have happened if I if I hadn't landed on a hit TV show at a, relatively early point in my career.
Right.
But, I have no idea. But I can say I know how I went into it. And I know how I've gone into Sweet Blackberry, and I've been I've been flailing around in Sweet Blackberry. It's not like I've been, like, oh wow, look at her make all these incredible business moves, and no, it's not like it's not like that. But I have managed to make advances, and it's more than stay afloat, but now do something, make something of it.
I always think of something that, and it's kind of off the beaten path of what we're talking about, but there's a book called 30 Rock with just basically built on quotes of Saturday Night Live cast members throughout the years and people involved with the show. Chris Rock said something to the effect of how, as it relates to Lorne Michaels, no matter whether you're getting along with him or not getting along with him in any given day or year or whatever, he personally always will love, respect, and credit Lorne Michaels for his career because he's the one who took him from nothing to something. And there's no bigger leap in your career than that first jump from nothing to something. So I think that applies to a lot of things in life, and the fact that whether you were flailing around or not, you turned Sweet Blackberry into something. And then once it's something, that was probably the biggest leap of all. And now you have all the freedom to figure out what it's going to be.
Absolutely. That's true. You got it. You nailed it. I think that's so true. That is the hardest part and once that's happened, that's very wise of you.
Thank you. I try. See, we talked for a couple of years and I'm like aging 3 times as fast as I should. So I'm getting really wise. Like an elder statesman. I'm living on top of that. Do you, let me ask you this, because enough time has passed since you kind of started this endeavor. There's been so much, I guess, increased attention over the past few years to diversity and learning about different cultures, et cetera, et cetera. And do you feel like that general movement, and of course in Sweet Blackberry's own way, you guys are contributing to that, but do you feel like that is also causing more interest in the kind of content that Sweet Blackberry is putting out?
Probably, because people are paying a little bit more attention to, there are a lot of people are paying attention to African American achievements as a priority, whether it's personal or it's because they have they have things in the workplace they have to have in place for children, for education, or for diversity, programs. I'm seeing that kind of stuff firsthand. Seeing a little bit of that, where that's pushed into areas. I mean, definitely in school, but it's always been in school. It's just more. I think it's definitely getting more attention than it did before, and because it is topical right now. It's more topical. It's at the forefront of people's minds, and so also with the growth of social media, people are able to circulate articles and facts and findings about, did you know that this person, invented this and it was a Black person, and did you know this, and spread this kind of stuff, and people get excited about it, and then they share it with another friend and so on. And Sweet Blackberry has been a part of that. We have our regular posts and we share them. People comment and, and send them to their friends and say, I didn't know this. And then we have a lot of people that have become regular, friends and such, and followers, because they're interested in the subject matter and in the content, and discovering new people and their achievements in history. So that's all, but that definitely is part of it being so topical, and then the social media kind of pushing it through as well, keeping it up there.
Does it even translate, from your perspective, and you're kind of on the ground level, so maybe it's kind of tough to see the forest through the trees, so to speak, but when something even pop culture-y comes out, like, the success of Black Panther, which is obviously nothing to do with, specific stories in history or anything like that, but do you see any sort of spike in interest and activity? Is there any sort of correlation when things like that come out and really make a buzz?
Well, I see them. I definitely see them linked. I don't know if it's making any difference at this point, because things have spiked so much in the last few years, and part of it's because I've been able to gain more traction and more presence, but also because of, like what you said, is that there's a lot more of a focus on diversity and more interest in this sort of topic. So with all of that, it's already kind of been pushed up to the forefront a little bit more. But definitely there's, because you can't separate the success of Black Panther from history, from the history of this country. You can't separate it. So in that regard, since it's affected so much by that, and we are about Black history, it all you can't help but see that it all interconnects. How it's directly affecting us, I don't know, but I think the whole thing, Sweet Blackberry, has been about bringing these stories to children and their families, but also celebrating Black achievement. And if Black Panther isn't about celebrating, I don't know what is. Black achievement and possibility. It really, it's very exciting. So many people are so excited by it. It's such a vision and such an imagining and a promise, too.
It really is, and I feel like I feel like it's kind of got that contagious enthusiasm that it transmits to the audience and just to everybody talking about it. That it can't help but create even more excitement for what you guys do as well. But so let me ask you this at this point. I don't really remember if we talked about this previously, so we'll hit it again. I think about, I was thinking about you as we were preparing for this call this morning. I was reading a bunch of social media posts from Stacey Dash, who is someone who is now running for Senate. She's been sort of a political commentator for some time now. And I thought about you because I look at her as someone who was she's best known for being in the movie called Clueless. She was known as an actress, and has totally shifted her life to focus on doing something that is kind of serious, obviously, politics. And, you know, politics aside, her specific politics and opinions, etc., she's gotten so much criticism and flack just for being her, just for being someone who was Stacey Dash, the actress, now trying to do something in a different world. What was your experience like kind of in the beginning? Because, I mean, you're known as a pretty comedic, I mean, you're known for your comedic role in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And still are to so many people. I feel like the show's on and syndicated more than ever at this point. Do you feel like you would run into any sort of roadblocks, either from, you know, the public world or from, you know, potential business partners, et cetera, about being taken seriously in what you're doing with Sweet Blackberry?
Yeah, I think when I very first started, I think the way people received me was they were kind of excited to meet me and talk about things, but I don't think a lot of people took what I was doing very seriously. There were people that did from the beginning, absolutely. There were people that were just like, oh, this is so great that you're doing this and you're putting your energy toward this. And they were right there and believed. But there were some people that I felt like were like, oh, this is really cool, with a kind of a smile of like, it's a nice idea. But they weren't really feeling like it was something I was going to maybe stay with, or that I cared or knew very much about. I don't know. It seemed like, I think the assumption from a lot of people was like, oh, it's a really sweet vanity project. And, you know, she's busying herself because she's a mom now and she doesn't have anything else to do or something. I don't know. People I got a little bit of that feeling, but I didn't linger there. I found that with a lot of things, though, when you move from one thing to another, not just me moving to Sweet Blackberry, but other things that I've been interested in doing. And people are used to knowing you a certain way and really seeing you have success in that thing in particular. It's difficult for them to see you transition to something else, especially if you're not transitioning to it with the same level of success right away. You know what I mean? So if you were right away becoming, you know, very successful in another thing, then they welcome it because it's a done deal. It's certain. It's a sure thing. But when they go see you like, oh, you're an actress and now you want to be a writer, they're like, oh, you know, it's you know. But if you went and you were immediately successful in it, they think they'd have a different idea. But with Stacey, though, I have to say, I mean, it has everything to do with her political choice that she's ridiculed and not taken seriously, and you know, the Clueless title keeps coming back up. That's because of her. It has everything to do with people being frustrated and angry with her political choice, because I think we've seen other people make that kind of choice the other way and not get the same kind of flack. You know what I mean? If she was, let's just face it. I mean, if she was running as a Democrat and that was her, and that was where she was speaking out and doing things, and she was on shows talking, people wouldn't be giving her the same. There would be people on the right that would belittle her and dismiss her, and there would be people everywhere that would dismiss her to some degree. But I don't think she'd get nearly as much of a hard time as she would by being, a person of color on the right. That's sticking your neck out there.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I just think that even beyond that, and like you mentioned, there's people on the other side of the fence who aren't getting nearly the flack that she would. But I do think in certain situations, there's always going to be some level of people who don't know anything about the politics of it, who are immediately going to say, this person is not necessarily someone to listen to because they don't come from that world. They just don't have.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And people like to be critics. I mean, one thing social media has done, we all know this, is it's given everybody this power. You're invisible and you can sit there on the other side of a laptop and you're completely anonymous and push buttons and be cruel if you want. You can, condemn people and dismiss them and make people cry. No one ever has to know who did it, who said it. Right. So that's part of it. It's easy to be a hater and just say, you don't know what you're doing or what you're talking about. You're an idiot.
Yeah. That's part of
and
doing
then some
anything
people,
public now. Part of doing anything public now is putting yourself in that position where people could just rip you apart because they feel like it. Unfortunately, it's just kind of the name of the game, right?
It's hard. I've had to tell so many friends of when they get frustrated about things and they want to speak up on Facebook, and I'm like, don't do it. You want to have a conversation, let's go out, let's have a conversation, or get those people you want to talk to face to face, but don't go on some open forum on the computer with a bunch of, strangers as well, and try to have a regular conversation. You're crazy. You're not going to be heard.
Is that something you kind of had to develop a patience for? Or because I don't think you're pretty business minded in the social media that I've seen from you. You're not doing a lot of putting yourself out there and taking people to task.
Because it's artificial to me. It's not, most of us, we have our bubble. We have our people that we are all like, amen to, right? We're all, in social media, we pretty much travel in bubbles, or we're regurgitating the same, articles and, posts and things. It's like, oh, did you see this? Oh, like, yeah, or I'm mad. We're all mad at this. Like we know how to do all of that, but there is not a lot of room in that arena for discourse, for honest, sometimes opposing discourse and listening. Like when you say something to me and I don't like it, I want to be able to go, well, why would you say that? Please back that up with something. Make me understand what you just said to me, because I don't understand that. You can't do that in that area. You can't. People don't talk to each other that way. They go, well, wait a minute, slow down. Did you read this article? Did you hear this? And what do you think about that? And not just defending your point. What do you think about it? Because everyone gets on this like defensive, they got to defend their post and they're mad at you for thinking differently. And then it's all reinforced by finding our pack and our tribe in this arena. We find our group and we get even more reinforced. And so we're so indignant that somebody would feel differently from us. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I'm talking to myself when I say this, because I'm that way more, just as much as anybody else. Like somebody says some stuff that I completely disagree with, I'm like, should I unfriend them? I get the same thing. It's like, I don't want to listen to that on my page. I don't want to have to see that. I don't want to have to try to have a discussion with this person. They just obviously don't get it, This is not the place for it. But I love to be able to sit with somebody, and have a drink or, coffee or whatever and go, wait, you really think that? Tell me why. And then be able to try to make them understand what you think. And then maybe by the end of it, maybe you would have changed your mind, or you would have changed their mind, or who knows. And that's the beauty of us being able to really communicate. But in those arenas, on that internet stuff, not the place. So I don't even go there.
You know what the real issue is here, Karyn? I think you need a podcast. You seem to have a lot more than I ever. I need to send myself over to you right away. So, all right. So I got to ask you something. And, I don't know if there's any information at all. I don't know if this is anything you want to talk about, but you talked about the idea of getting away from what people know you for. And like you said before, people know you from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And got to ask, seeing it all over the good old social media we just talked about, that there's talk of the reboot actually happening. And allegedly it's Fresh Princess this time around. Is this something that you have heard about on any level?
I've heard about it the same way you have.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have additional information. I mean, the only additional information I have that would be interesting to anyone is that the girl who played Hillary hasn't heard anything about it. So that, for all the people who are like, I wonder what's happening, that might help with all of putting it all together, is that I don't know anything about it. How
do you feel about the idea? I mean, I'm sure it's something that's discussed over the years.
I mean, I don't know what it is. I mean,
Right.
I don't know what that idea is. I know a little while back that I know that Will posted some cartoon images that somebody had made up. He had posted those and put those out there. You know, he doesn't post just anything. And so that was interesting to me, the fact that he would float that and see how it was received, because he was like, oh, this is cool, someone sent me this, or something like that. I forgot. But just the fact that he would float that out there to almost like wanting to possibly see what people thought of it, to gauge it. And so that was interesting. And I thought, oh, you know, Fresh Prince cartoon would be really interesting, wouldn't it? And then when I heard the Fresh Princess thing, I thought, well, that's kind of smart because it makes it fresh, right?
Right.
To do that. I think a cartoon makes it fresh. I think making it, whether it's live action or a cartoon, making it a girl makes it fresh. I think those are all smart, interesting ideas. But I haven't spoken to anybody about it, so I'm just speculating like everybody else. You know, I have no idea what's in mind. I just know that we are not doing like the Roseanne reboot, like that kind of thing.
You're not going to. Yeah.
No, Will's not going for it. He's not doing that. But also, ever since James Avery passed away, that kind of sealed the deal on that one. I think too. I don't think Will would have done it anyway, honestly. But I think that without James, it became like it's a non-conversation.
Gotcha.
So I don't know what he has. I don't know what's in mind, but I'm sure he's mulling something over. Somebody is. I wish someone would tell me something. I haven't asked yet. I should call someone and say, what's going on?
Well, I'll tell you what. I live in the Jersey, New York area, and for those fans who are kind of impatient about the whole thing, take solace in the knowledge that if you've got any sort of cable service, you can watch Fresh Prince about 17 times on any given day. Catch up with the old stuff. It's not fine. Oh, it's on. I mean, you guys are heavily syndicated on BET, on Nickelodeon with their sitcoms. It's just, I feel like it's on as much as the top syndicated shows of much more recent times. It's just one of the, it feels like one of those things that has just managed to stand the test of time. And it's always interesting to me which shows do and which shows don't, because there's a lot of very highly rated popular shows that just at some point they feel too dated, I guess, and they just kind of disappear. But Fresh Prince still so relevant that it's people of all ages continue to want more of it.
Yeah, it's interesting because we did not crack the top 10 when we were on.
Right.
Everyone's always like, oh, it's a big hit show. It's like, well, it didn't feel like a big hit show when we were doing it at all.
But it was.
You go to the mall. Nobody bothered me for the 6 years that I was on it. I hardly got anything. It wasn't until syndication.
Exactly. I mean, now I'm sure at this point, you can still feel the recognition out in the public, right? I mean.
Yeah, I mean, not horribly, and not as bad as the boys, because I had to get karaoke beat with makeup, not karaoke, kabuki beat. Karaoke. I was singing through the streets of New York. No, kabuki. They did just beat my face, and I had the outfits and the attitude and the whole thing. And so I think if I were walking through the streets in my Hillary drag, then maybe people would notice me more.
Karyn, that sounds horrible. I feel so bad for you. You had to go through that for 6 years.
Oh no, it's a costume. It was fun.
Oh, okay.
Nothing bad.
It could sound like there's
nothing bad. I'm just joking because I had to put so much makeup. I watch the show and I crack up because I don't wear makeup very much. Personally, I'm not somebody who wears much makeup. So for me, it looks like a lot of makeup. Nowadays, it's normal. The Kardashians have made it normal to have these layers and these lashes and these things. And so all this, everybody wears so much makeup. But at the time, because of the hot lights on us all day, they put a lot of makeup on. And I think Janet Hubert and I used to laugh about that because she didn't wear makeup either. And when the two of us went out, people didn't notice. But if we went out with Alfonso and Will, because they look the same,
Right.
people would automatically notice them.
Yeah. Well, hey, maybe you'll be, who knows, if anything escalates and they, reboot materializes and they start to reach out to the familiar faces, maybe you'll be lucky enough to get smacked in the face with makeup some more in the future.
I don't care. I don't mind.
So, I mean, we haven't talked about it, and I know that we're kind of killing you on time here, but Sweet Blackberry, where are we now? What's the next thing that people can look forward to?
Well, as I was mentioning earlier, we are currently in production on our fourth film. It's Lawrence Fishburne is providing the narration. It's the story of Bessie Coleman, the first Black female aviator. Mm-hmm. And we're looking at releasing that in May, early May. And it's coming together really well. We have R. Gregory Christie, the illustrator who's done the last 2 Sweet Blackberry films. He's a wonderful Coretta Scott King award-winning children's illustrator. Just wonderful work. He's back doing his stuff, and Chris Joyner's doing music. Catherine Bianca Clark is animating, and it's coming together really well. And I have to say I'm very excited about this one. I mean, not that I don't say I'm excited about all of them, but it's looking really, really, really good. So if you want, of course I'm biased, but I think it's really good.
Where and how do you want people to watch and follow and get updates on everything that's going on? I should also really add something really quickly about Bessie Coleman for people who aren't familiar with her story, just so they know. We're talking about this woman. It was the first Black flyer aviator, period, to have an international pilot's license, and she even had her international. That's male or female, and she had her international pilot's license 2 years before Amelia Earhart had hers. So she was really a sensation, and at the time, part of the reason for that, though, was because no one in America would teach a Black female how to fly. So she had to learn all she could about France, learn the language, and get on a boat, save her money, get sponsors, and go on a boat to France and teach and take flying lessons. And then she came back with an international pilot's license. Wow.
Just a really incredible story to me. I mean, it's one of the, it's like she's so epitomizes the Sweet Blackberry triumph story to me. You're faced with such an incredible obstacle, and you find out that is actually an opportunity for greatness, for something incredible. It's not like you're not just going to learn how to fly. You're going to be the first this and the first that. And you're going to do all of these things to have such an incredible triumph and to inspire future generations, which she has.
And well, I mean, we talked before about sort of the link between something like a Black Panther to, African American history, et cetera, et cetera. I would suggest to people out there who are really celebrating a film like Black Panther, or even a film like Wonder Woman, which got a lot of buzz about having sort of that female superhero, to really check out Sweet Blackberry's content and really learn about some of these stories, because I mean, this is real life, and this happened a long time ago, and a lot of these are just as inspirational, and even more so because these are real women who really did these super heroic things. I mean, it's crazy.
I did look at her, and she is like a superhero to me. I look at the picture of her, and her face is just beaming in her gear. She's got all her pilot's gear on. She's got this huge smile, and she looks unstoppable. I mean, she really looks like she'd have a cape and could, doesn't need the plane to fly. She's such a badass. And all these stories are people that are just surmounting the odds and doing incredible things. They are our real life superheroes. And I think that they are definitely there for us now to look at and for our children to look at and be empowered by and go, wow, look at all that I'm capable of. Because these people did these things, you know.
Yeah.
I'm capable of that.
Well, hey, you're in your own way, you're the superhero for bringing all these stories out to people. So I think you should be.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, give yourself some super heroic credit there.
Okay.
And hey, do you want people? I mean, do we want to plug your social media, or do you want people to stay the heck away?
Sure. I mean, you can if you go to sweetblackberry.org. I'm terrible at this stuff. If you go to sweetblackberry.org, you can always learn more about what we're doing, what's going on, and there's also a reel right at the front page that shows you what we've done in the past, what's coming up and everything. It tells a little bit more about us and the awards that we've won and about school visits, because I love to visit the schools and come out and screen the films for kids and talk and stuff. So you can learn more about that from sweetblackberry.org. But you can also visit us on Facebook and on Twitter and on Instagram to get little snippets of stuff that's going on with us and with me, as well as learn a little bit about Black history along the way.
Cool. Sounds like a winning proposition. And hey, thank you so much once again. It was great to catch up with you.
Thank you. You too. I appreciate you having me back.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Karyn. Talk to you later.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.